sit. Go to your mat, down. It takes a while for her to go into a down because she's so big. But if you have any problem with her going too slow, if you just do this and just apply a little bit of light pressure on the leash, she goes a little bit faster. And then I'm just going to practice walking around her. Whatever she does on this mat, she'll do in real life. I mean, actually without the mat. So she'll do this, as you'll see later, she'll do this without the mat, but good. The reason that she's so good on the mat is because, or the reason she's so good without the mat is because she learned first on the mat, and learning a downstay on this mat just makes for a much more solid downstay anywhere. I usually do this exercise for about 5 minutes a day. And I start off easy like this. No, make sure that she waits. Good, see how she waited there for me to place the food on the mat and then withdraw. Make sure you do it that way every time. She tries to take the food out of your hand, or she touches your hand or anything, pull it back and you say no. She has to wait respectfully until you place it on the mat, let go of it and withdraw, and she takes it off the mat. So once I've done some simple things like that, I usually step away, farther away like this. Maybe, so this, you'll just make sure this doesn't get in the way, right? Okay, so you can walk farther away, come back, reward, good, go different directions. If she gets up, you say no. You can just step on the leash a little bit and she'll go back. You can also do this inside of your house, which we'll probably do at your house. You can go outside, knock on the door, come back, that sort of thing. We'll be doing that at your house. Good. So there's obviously all types of distractions you can throw at her when she's on this mat. You can leave the yard if you're doing it in a yard, or if she's in the house, leave the house. If you're going to do something that's really difficult like this, remind her down before you do it. Good. It's always difficult for any dog to do that, to stay in a down stay while I leave the yard. No, make sure she stays in a down. She doesn't start to stand up. Okay, good. And then once you've done a couple of difficult things like that and she's had successes, you can just kind of end on a little cool down, like just do what you started doing in the beginning, and then end on a big success. She gets a reward. Good. And then always make sure that she waits until you stand back next to her, pat your leg and say, okay. Lead her off the mat, have her sit. Takes her a while to sit, she's so big. And then if you're gonna walk with her, keep walking, or to release her, just pat her chest and say, go. Always have her sit and no. If she tries to pop up before you release her, I don't know if you saw that, but I just said no, and I just did a real slight little prompt, and she went back into a sit stay. I always take her through boundaries like this. I have her sit, she waits, I come back to get her, I say, okay. She walks through with me, and if she has a problem rushing through a boundary, I always slow way down like this, and I don't know if you can see, but I just did a couple of prompts like that. It's really gentle, actually. There's no rough stuff here. And of course, if you're by yourself, you have to do a little left circle like that, or left turn into her to close the gate. And this is the way that we're starting the walk here. And this is a boundary as well. Sit, the curb. Takes her a while to sit. And I have her wait at the curb before I let her be free, and we have just our regular relaxing walk where she's on free time. I always have her sit at all these boundaries on the way out. She get a little reward. Good. And then we're gonna go across the street in training mode, and I'll release her over there. So now we're gonna cross the street. Okay. Make sure she's not pulling you. See how she's not pulling me? Leash is loose. She starts to go ahead of you. You can just do a little prompt like that. And if you walk slow, she'll learn to walk slow with you. So over here, now we cross the street, sit over here. And if she doesn't sit fast enough, you can just apply just the tiniest amount of pressure up and then help her a little bit. You're not pushing down, you're basically just kind of easing her down, because you don't want to push on her hips or anything, because that could over time damage her hips. So she's sitting here. Make sure she really waits. No. Make sure she really waits to be released. So see how I have my right hand here? Go. Make sure she doesn't jump the gun, and she really waits until you actually pat her chest and release her, because if she's anticipatory and anticipating what you're about to do, and she just does things before you even let her do them, the training will just go downhill from there. So always make sure that she actually waits until you actually let her be free without popping up first. Now she's free, and we can just take our little walk. As you can see, she's not pulling out on the street. We just came out on the street. It's the beginning of the walk, and that's because every day I take her out here like this. The front door, you saw the gate, you saw the curb. If there's a street to cross, let her be free on the other side. And she's already calm in the zone, because for the first 2 minutes since you put the leash on inside the house, she was having to focus and be calm and wait at boundaries. That way you got out on the street like this, and she's in the right frame of mind so that she's not pulling you around and going crazy out here. So now we'll start our walk. So here we are in a very busy place. Sit. Gonna have Presley sit, and then just practice a little sit stay with all the goings on here. It's always good once they've learned their commands to take those commands out into public, and for Presley to make sure that she can do this with actual real life distractions. So that's a basic sit stay. You saw how I said sit. You know, she's huge, so it's okay. Doesn't matter. We want you to walk past. So very often I'll have to help her, ease her down, because it's a very long sit or down as well if you don't help her a little bit. But when she's there, she'll really stay there, and there's a lot of distractions. So if she stays there through all these distractions, I'll come back next to her, give her a reward. Good girl. And then release her. Go. And of course, if she does get up, pop out of a sit before you release her, you're going to say no. Let's pretend she did. You say no. You do your little reset where you step into her like this, and gently but firmly put her back. She didn't make a mistake, but if she did, that's what you would do. And make sure that she waits until you come back next to her and pat her chest and say go, or what I'm about to do, pat my leg and say okay. We're going to practice a little down stay here. Down. She's so tall. So this is in a very, I guess you could call it a stressful environment for most dogs. Why don't you pan around and just show, you got a bunch of people that are watching. And so I helped her go into a down just by applying a little bit of pressure on the leash, not much. And as you can see, once she's there, it's the stay that matters anyway. Once she's there, it's solid. She's looking around at all the different distractions, all the people everywhere. There's a lot of noises, a lot of carts like that going past us. She's doing really well. Sometimes in these situations, she has no interest in a reward. Well, this time she does, though. That's good. So I'm giving her a reward for being so good and staying there through all this. And then I'm going to stand back next to her, pat my leg and say, okay, and sit. And of course, we always have her sit before we release her. So it's okay, she stands up, we have her sit, and then always never holding on tight, just see it's loose. Go, and releasing her to be free. Go say hi to this man. Go say hi. And she's gonna get petted. And I didn't even give him a treat because Presley's so sweet and so easy. I'm gonna call her back to come. Call her to come to me. Good. So that's how I send her over to people. I always have her sit first. Can I do it one more time with you?
Oh, is she? Yeah, sure.
And then give her a treat this time. Go say hi. He's gonna give her a treat and pet her. Go ahead and give her the treat. Good. Good girl. And then I call her back to come, or she'll come very often before I even call her. Sit. So we're just here with a lot of different people that seem to want to pet her. Do you want to pet her? You want to pet her? So I'm going to send her over to you and just give her the treat. Go say hi. Go.
Recording you behind.
Yeah. Come. Yeah. Good. You're not hiding from the mob or anything, I hope, because you're on.
How old is she?
Sit. She's about a year or so. She's young. She's less than 2 years old. Yeah.
Pretty.
Yeah. So this is a great way to, this is great to film for you because most greeting routines would be a lot more organized than this. Usually it'd be somebody coming to your house, they're waiting out front, you walk her out, you give them a treat. It's not going to be kind of a chaotic environment like this, but you see even with this kind of chaos and people she's never met and less than ideal circumstances, she's doing really well and staying in the sit stay till I release her. Go. She's doing really well. And she's very, very friendly, obviously, which we already knew that though.
All right.
Good girl. Thanks a lot. Thank you. When I'm practicing calling Presley to come to me, I have my left hand through the loop in the leash, through the handle, and I use my right hand to have the little reward in here. This is some of that natural balance sausage. I always call her to a closed hand. Come! Back away. Good. When her nose touches my target hand, I open it, give her the reward. My left hand takes the leash so that I can, step into her and I've got control over her because I have the leash. I always back away when I call her to me because when you back away, it's going to draw her to you and she's going to rush to you when you do it that way. And when you practice, you always back away when you're practicing and she runs to you. Then when you're in a situation where you can't back away, in a real life situation, you call her to come to you, then she's going to still rush to you because of the way you practice. So when you are practicing your recall with her, make sure you always come, back away, because it makes her run to you. Good. See, it's the same thing every time. And then my left hand grabs the leash at the same moment that her nose touches my target hand and I open and she gets the treat. So it all happens at once and I say, good. All that happens at once. And even now when there's no reward, she doesn't know that there's nothing in here. So whenever there's a crisis situation, there's an emergency, or even if she's off leash, she's way more likely to say there's no leash and there's no reward. She was anticipating I would call her already. So let's do that again. So no reward. Come! She doesn't know it's empty. She's still going to come to you. Good girl. Just love her up extra if you ever have to do that. Good girl. And she'll barely miss the fact that there was no reward in there. But that's why you always practice like this with a reward. So when there is a crisis situation and you don't have a reward, she's going to come to this target every time. So always call her to this closed fist of a target. And always make sure that if you call her and she doesn't respond right away, you just do a little tap like that. She's going to turn around and see you backing away and be drawn to you. Good girl. So never drag her to you with a tight leash like this. You don't ever want to do this. Reel her in because it will cause stress, and that's not real training anyway because you want her to come on her own. You don't want to have to drag her to you. So it's just a little tap. See how that works? She's going to turn around. You're like tapping her on the shoulder. Good. It's like, hello. She turns around. She looks at you. She sees you backing away. She's going to come toward you, just like you see how she's doing that in the video right here. We have a lot of stuff going on here, a lot of people everywhere. And she's just friendly and curious. So one last time. Come. Good. Sit. And okay. Let's go. Come on.